Today, we're diving into Grant Cardone's blueprint for anyone who wants to build, well, an empire. He's laid out this roadmap that's based on his own pretty incredible journey from absolute rock bottom to the very top.
So let's just start with this number, $600 million. That's roughly Grant Cardone's net worth. I mean, it's a figure that's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, and it immediately raises the stakes for the advice we're about to unpack. Because, let's be real, when someone builds that, you listen.
But here's the most important part of this whole story. He didn't start with any of this. He wasn't born into some wealthy family or handed a bunch of opportunities. Nope. His journey began about as far from $600 million as you can possibly get.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's brutal. At 10 years old, his father dies. 5 years later, at 15, his older brother is gone. And that just sends him into this spiral, a full decade of daily drug use. It all comes to a head when he has his third overdose at age 25. He finally leaves rehab at 26, completely and totally broken. We're not just talking about a rough start here. This is a deep, dark hole. So the question is, how on earth do you get from this to a multi-million-dollar real estate empire? Well, it all starts in your head.
And that brings us to his first and maybe most important lesson: dream bigger. See, before he took a single action, before he made a single dollar, Cardone understood that this whole game is won or lost in the mind. It all begins by radically, completely changing the scale of your own ambition. At his core, Cardone's belief is that most of us are our own worst enemies. We put a ceiling on our own potential that is way, way too low. And, according to him, this self-limiting belief gets reinforced all the time by one major external factor.
And this just nails his point perfectly. Think about it. When your friends, your family, your whole social circle think small, their reality just kind of becomes your reality, right? Your potential feels capped. But flip that. Surround yourself with people who have these huge, crazy goals, and suddenly your own idea of what's possible just expands to meet theirs.
He uses this perfect analogy. As a little kid, trying to lift an 80-pound weight, yeah, right, it seems totally impossible. But you grow, you get stronger, and then one day, it's easy. Your potential was never fixed. It grew. Cardone says our ambition works the exact same way. What seems impossible to you right now is just a matter of growth.
Okay, so once you start to expand your dreams, you need a foundation that's actually strong enough to support them. And this brings us to lesson number 2, rebuild self-trust. Now for Cardone, this wasn't about adding new habits at first. It was about subtraction. It meant ruthlessly, and I mean ruthlessly, getting rid of everything that was holding him back.
The day he walked out of rehab at 26, he made himself a promise. He cut out everything on this list. And not just the hard drugs. I mean everything. No more alcohol, no cigarettes, no vices at all. He also cut ties with negative people and those small dreamers we just talked about. It was a complete and total life reset. But why do all this? What was the point? Well, the ultimate goal wasn't just to get healthy. It was to rebuild trust in himself. You know, after a decade of addiction, he had zero self-trust. He believed that if he couldn't even trust himself to keep a simple promise, how could he ever expect his family or business partners or customers to trust him? Building that self-trust back up was the absolute non-negotiable first step.
So, you're dreaming big, you've built this solid foundation of self-trust. Okay, now comes the part most people just aren't willing to do. This is lesson 3, pay the price. And for Cardone, this is not a metaphor, it's a daily, relentless exercise in extreme discipline.
These were his daily, non-negotiable payments. Didn't matter if he hated the gym, he forced himself to go and push through the pain. He ate only clean, beneficial food, no junk, period. He was up and working before the sun even thought about rising, and to make that happen, he was in bed before 9 p.m. No late-night TV, no scrolling on his phone. The price was paid. Every single day.
And this is probably his most provocative belief. He looked at the weekend not as a time to rest, but as a massive opportunity that literally everyone else was just throwing away.
So, what does that actually look like in practice? Let's just do some quick math. You work every weekend. That's about 100 extra days a year. But let's be conservative and say you really only get 50 extra full work days out of it. Over 5 years, that's 250 extra days you've worked when your competition was taking a break.
And that is the jaw-dropping result. When you add in holidays, you gain almost a full extra year of productive work over your competition every 5 years. While they were relaxing, he was getting an entire year ahead. This compounding of pure effort is a huge key to his success.
All right, so after all that work, after paying the price day in and day out, you start making money. A lot of it. And this is the exact spot where most people fail. But for Cardone, this is the final critical step. You have to invest. And he has a very clear philosophy on what you should do with every single dollar you earn.
This is his mantra from money. Simple but so powerful. It's not about stuffing it in a bank account, and it is definitely not about wasting it on liabilities. It's about actively using it as a tool for explosive growth.
And this is exactly what he means by use it. Money is fuel. You pour it back into yourself to get new skills. You pour it back into your business to make it better. You hire people, you pay them well, you improve their lives. You use it to find new customers and build new relationships. It creates this amazing cycle. Money fuels growth, which creates more money, which fuels even more growth.
So after breaking down this entire journey from rock bottom to a $600 million fortune, the final question isn't really about him, it's about you. We've seen the mindset, the discipline, the strategy. The only thing left to ask is, what price are you truly willing to pay?